Welcome to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We seek to restore pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Onkarabile Mokoto and I am your host. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share online. And today we are having a very special guest, Mr. Keatlegile Mabena, who is here to share more on the importance of writing your own story. And he has written a very interesting book detailing his own story, breaking the chain, bailing out the imprisoned potential, power and persistence. And he's here to share more on that. Mr. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to the discussions around my book, Breaking the Chains.
Definitely. Let's just start. You know, we speak about writing your own story. A lot of people are not free. And I like your books because breaking the chain, you know. They are not free to tell their own story. They're not free to write their own story. But you were confident enough, you know, to come up and say, I have a story to tell. What inspired you?
For me to start writing my story, in fact, I think if I would have listened to people who said you have a story to tell, I would have written my story earlier than I did. However, I always believe in the timing. I trusted the timing. And at the time, when people said to me that we believe that you have a story to narrate, and the story, not only a story, but a story that is going to be life-changing, and the story that is going to be life-giving. And it is through your story that other people's lives are going to be revived. And at the time, I was not ready to tell that story. And at a later stage, in fact, to be specific, in 2018, I started writing Breaking the Chains. And it was the back and forths, because this is a story about what was sitting inside of me. And this is the pain that was sitting inside of me and cutting very deep. I had to be very ready for me to write it, and also being ready psychologically and emotionally for the questions that are going to come that I would have not prepared for, in terms of people having to ask the more excruciating questions that are going to make me relive the moment. And as I write, I was also reliving the moment, as tragic as it was. And I wrote my story because I believed that it was the story that matters, and my voice need to be heard, more especially when it comes to addressing the unhealthy and toxic behaviors related to gender-based violence, and not only having to look at how those behaviors must change. And I'm saying this because having to speak about it is not good enough, but we need to also challenge those behaviors that are unhealthy. So this is the story which I felt that it will be a story of hope, story of courage, and story of resilience. And it's amazing how profound the impact has been over the years since I launched my book in 2019. And people are in awe when I tell them it only took me 3 months to write this story.
And I wanted to ask, like you just mentioned now, of saying, you said when you were writing this book, it was just a healing actually for yourself.
Yeah.
But also you were writing it to inspire other people.
True.
So I wanted to ask if you have encountered some people who came to you and said, you know, the book has helped me. Your story really, you know, maybe similar to my story. Have you met such kind of people?
Yes, a lot of them. That's why I'm saying I'm always grateful, deeply grateful for the impact that this book has had in so many people's lives. And yes, I knew that it was going to have an impact, but not at this magnitude. So this is a story that has inspired people, it has moved people, and it has transformed their life in a way that I've never imagined. And this is a story that has now afforded me platforms to be on television shows and to be to be on radio shows, be it national and local. My story has reached people in South Africa and abroad. And this is the impact that I never saw it coming. And it's amazing how people are able to resonate with this story, and how it also ushers them and help them in navigating similar challenges that I've went through. And this is exactly what I wanted this book to do. And as myself being used as a vessel to pour, to say that if you are feeling that you need compassion in the story of pain that you are going through, or the motivation, because this book, I would say it's a must-have. It cuts across different age groups and different people, because it talks about my life from a very young age, going through my teenage years, experiencing that loss of my loved ones, having to go to university. So it also reaches the university students and my younger adulthood days. So each and every person, I believe this is a book that they would like to have and hold. And it is my wish that when they hold this book, God reveals to them who he meant them to be, and they become exactly that. And in the process of becoming that which God has destined them to be, they should be getting the wisdom and the strength. Because I've also had people who have said, we are not sure of how you rose above all that you have went through as young as you were. And I've always said it is the grace and the mercy of God that has carried me this
I
far.
want us to go in details, but before that, because someone is saying, okay, I'm hearing you're talking about your story, but what is your story? So I want us to go there, but before that, I want you maybe to help us. If what helped you to overcome the fear of being judged negatively when it comes to the aspect of your story, because every story has its own negative and positive side. Sometimes when you have a story, people are more on checking your negative,
your flaws.
Exactly. So what really helped you to say, look, I don't care what will people say, but I know what the story will do to other people positively?
I would say having to be closely connected with self. I'm one person who's self-aware, and when you are self-aware, you are able to understand how you manage the situations that might be coming as negative, and the reframing of it. I think if somebody is to come to me and say, with an intention to look at what will be the negative side of the story, which I do not believe that exists, because this is not a story of shame. This is not a story of guilt or regret. This is my story of being vulnerable and putting my heart on the table or on the floor and say, this should be a story that will inspire somebody to also write their own. And I will tell my story with the highest level of authenticity and honesty. And remember, when you are the one who writes the story, you are the one who chooses on what is it that you want to say to the people. You are the one who exposes yourself to the people and tell your story. So whatever that is included in my book is exactly what I wanted to tell people. And if people want to engage me more of that, and they can always, they are always allowed to do so. I'm ready. That's why I said to you, I had to be ready for whatever question or whichever question that might come, be it that it will make me go back to the days when I was writing Breaking the Chains, where I would write a paragraph and cancel it because I was not so ready to expose my story or to publicize it, in fact, to the wider reach, and the pain that I had to go through as I was writing it. I remember there were days where I would sleep with my pillow wet and having to reconsider, are you sure that you want to write this story? And until I really listened to God's voice to say that you need to write this story, and to also see its positive impact on that wider reach and to the globe.
And one of the things that you just mentioned now is on the positive side is you wanted the story to help other people to write their own stories.
True.
You know, what will you say to a person the importance of writing their own stories? Maybe they have that wish or desire, but they don't see the importance of writing. What will you say the importance of writing your own story?
I would say having to write your story, it opens a room for you to engage with people, and not only engage with them, but be able to reach their deepest layers and become a place of hope, a beacon of hope. And not only that, but also to say to someone who's sitting in their own space that it is possible for you to also get your story out there, and you shouldn't be feeling the guilt. Obviously, you need to deal with self. I think I talk more about self because I want to believe that there isn't anybody who will attack you and you are aware of self, and you would feel that you need to back down because somebody is telling you that your story, it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And that's why I really love how the narrative and the trajectory is changing right now in terms of publishing. To say that we are not in that space where it's only about traditional publishing, because in traditional publishing, I think somehow traditional publishing is a way of gatekeeping for people not to tell their story. And I'm saying that because the publishers are the ones who are going to tell you how important your story is,
Yes.
and whether your story is going to sell or not. But now, because we are having the self-publishing, which is the route that I took, even though it has its own hustles and bustles, because of you need to establish your visibility, you are the marketing, your sales, and you are branding. But this is a path that I believe that it has been created now, and people are moving into it, which is exactly what fulfills and excites me. That people are now able to tell the world that my story matters.
Yes.
They are able to tell the world and also make sure that their voice also become heard in spaces where traditional publishing could have said your story is not good enough to be going out there. What's so important about your story? So it's my wish that most people will get the resources to go into self-publishing. And I'm mentioning the hustles and bustles because of I know how expensive writing a book is, and more especially maybe if you are somebody who crossed their T's and dot their I's like myself. I wouldn't want to take out any product that I do not feel that it is at the level at which I would also appreciate if I was a reader. So if you want the quality, it's going to be more costly. But my message to people who are having stories that they believe that are important to be told to the world, and not only that, but to impact. Because for one to tell a story, it starts from having to believe that there is a substance out of the story that you want to tell. If you're having a story that you want to tell, start wherever you are, because writing it's not only limited to you having to smell the pages of your book, it being compiled to a memoir that would like the world to read. Now we are very fluid in terms of where we can tell our story. We have social platforms. Yours is to buy data and be on Facebook or Instagram or whichever platform that you might think that it would be suitable for you to tell your story and will align or allow you the opportunity to tell your story. Be on Facebook, type your story, because one thing that I've realized is that I've came across people who said, how did you do it in terms of writing your book? I said to them, I had the resources at the time. And not at the beginning, but I had to put plans in place to say, how am I going to make money to get that person who's going to proofread my book, language editing, the cover, and people are not even aware of the work that is being put into a book coming into the final product or the final outcome, because you need to have a makeup artist if you want your face to be in the cover page. You need to have a photographer. You must be having a venue, somebody who's a graphic designer. So that's the financial resource that is required. But if you are to start on social platforms, like I was saying, it's only your data and you're just on your keypad to say, this is my story. And it's until people see how you narrate your story that you might get somebody who will fund the project.
No, definitely.
People can, I always say, people can only meet you as far as you have met yourself. If you are still dealing with the fear of starting, you need to deal with that, because people are only giving opportunities to those who have proven that they are worthy of those opportunities.
You know, I like what you said when you say start where you are with what you have.
Exactly.
Let's go to a short break. When we come back, because now someone is saying, Onkarabile, you're wasting time. You want to hear the story of Mr. Keatlegile Mabena. What is your story? So when we come back from the break, we are going straight to your story in detail, explaining what the pain that you are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back shortly. Stay tuned.
The Creative Corner with Nolu, a cozy and inspiring show that features interviews with artists, showcases their work, challenges, and successes. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on Share Radio. Tune in live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This is Share Radio.
Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in our communities. We are still having Mr. Keatlegile Mabena, who is here to tell more about the importance of writing your own story, and he has his own story to tell. Let's go straight to your story, the pain that you went through, you know, gender-based violence that you spoke about. Maybe briefly, in detail, contradiction.
Yeah. That's very conflicting. Okay, the core of breaking the chain is about how I had to break free from the pain that I had to go through at the younger age of 15, and at that time I was still in secondary school. I lost my mom through a very tragic incident. My mom was butchered, killed with an axe by the then boyfriend. And how the incident or the event unfolded, it was on the 19th of September 2010. We woke up in the morning and we were very happy of what the outcomes of the court would be, because on that day my mom had to go to court, appearing before the court with the perpetrator of this traumatic event that I had to go through. And we wake up in the morning, we are very happy that the court is going to rule positively. And as young as I was, what I had hoped is that this perpetrator be locked behind bars. And on that day, we wake up in the morning. We are very happy because we are anticipating that the outcomes of the court will be positive and we are not going to experience this person at a closer proximity, because at that time he was already filed with the protection order. And we accompany my mom to the bus stop. We're living in a rural area. I'm a rural boy. We're living a village called Shakung in Bukwanibu-Pirima, Northwest Province, and we accompanied her to the bus stop. She called a taxi. From there, I went to a barber shop. I wanted to cut my hair. At that time, I was with my little sister, and surprisingly, when we were still there, and actually maybe it was a way in which events had to be delayed. As I was cutting my hair at that time, the machine stopped working, and it was not due to load shedding. I don't know at that time what is it that was happening, and it was getting late at that time, and I was thinking to myself, my mom it will not sit well with her that we are coming back home late. What is it that we can do? And I sent my sister to go to a tuck shop where there were telephones at that time, to say, try to call her so that she's aware that we are still here at the pub, and these are the complications that we are having, which are beyond our control, and so that she can also be at ease that we are not going to walk in a village during the night alone and as young as we were. And when my sister went and called. In fact, I accompanied her. When we went and called to inform her of where we are and that we might be delayed to come home, the phone was only ringing and with no answer, which made us to be concerned a lot about what will make her not to answer the phone. However, I think that's the moment where we also tried to be as positive as we could. Then I said to the person who was cutting my hair, we really need to go because we can't stay here longer. We'll come tomorrow and finish cutting my hair. And we went home. And when we got home, the first sign that we got, and we tried to not really think deep about
A lot of
it.
People were there.
No, we are home, and when we get there, when you know how the gate get locked. When we get in, this is how we lock the gate, and at that time, we were using a wire to tighten the gate, and I'm seeing that how tight this is, it's not how we normally do it. I think each and every person would know, if you are living in an environment for the longest of time, of how things are being done at in a particular household. Then we untie that as tightly as it was. We get in. When we get there, the first thing that we see is a key holder full of stains of blood. And at that time, when we enter, in fact, when we get to see that key holder, we are still in denial of what we are seeing, and we are also trying to create our own scenarios of what a less tragic this might have transpired. And we are thinking, in fact, at that time, we are going through this. We are not really talking about it, my sister and I, but in my mind,
everybody's just
we are all deep in our thoughts, and we are trying to also bring ourselves into the positive light of the situation. And I'm thinking to myself, because we had chickens at home, they were slaughtering the chicken. Maybe my mom accidentally left the key outside, which might be the possibility. However, when we step into the house, just right next to the door inside the house, we see an X full of blood. And I'm still trying to convince myself that whatever that I thought when I was about to enter into the house is exactly what is happening today. Maybe they didn't use a knife, which is very unusual, that they wouldn't use a knife to kill a chicken, but use an axe. But there's also something inside of me that says, as much as you want to deny
this is
what the reality might be, but also try to check as to which one is the current reality. And without even talking to my sister, we are running to the first room, because in fact it will be the second, because when we are entering at the side of the kitchen. We are going to the second room because it was a very big house that we are living in. We go to the second room. we are screaming my mom very loud to say, hey, mama. We go to the second room, which was the bedroom. We go to the third one, which was our bedroom, and we don't find her there. There isn't any sign of her, and now we are going to the main bedroom, which is where she slept, which we believed that would be the room that would find her. We get there. When we get there, we see the clothes that she wore in the morning. In fact, the clothes that we chose for her. That's how we were optimistic about the situation. We had to make sure that she dresses well. Her hair looks very good. The shoes that she wore, we see that dress that she wore in the morning, and we also see the shoes that she wore. Somehow it makes us to be very positive that the person that we are looking for is inside the house, but we don't know if she's outside or she's inside. And now we are left with the dining room or the lounge. That is the only room that we haven't checked. And now the reality still kicks in to say we are becoming more worried of the fact that we saw the clothes and where is the person. We go to that dining room, and when we get there, we see my mom lying on a carpet, showing no sign of life, and the blood is all over that room. On the carpet, my mom is just lying there in a pool of blood, if I may put it that way, and the blood is all over the carpet.
So you are the first people to...
We are the first people to arrive at the scene, my sister and I, and we screamed with the hope that she will respond. And unfortunately, we didn't get the response that we had hoped for. And that's when we started crying. And we cried so loud that the people in our community, and because I said that we were living in a village, our houses were very scattered. But because of how loud and how deep our cry was, people were able to gather in less than 5 minutes, because they could hear that this is not just only a cry, but this is a cry that says that somebody is seeking for help, and there is a pain that is cutting very deep, that there wouldn't be any child who will cry the way we did. And after the community came, they were able to call my family, and my family came. The community tried to take us out of the scene, to take us to one of the neighbors. And when we were there, obviously because of we are thinking to ourselves, will we get my mom in an alive state, if I may put it that way, or is it the end of us with him, with her, in fact? Is it this going to be a way in which we part ways now forever? And when we are still at that neighbor's place where we were kept, so that they are able to clear the scene, we are able to see the sirens outside through the window. We are seeing that the police are coming in, and the paramedics are coming in, the ambulance. And at the back of my mind, I was thinking that when the paramedics are coming, they are going to do something to resuscitate her life. And after everything was cleared, our family, my aunt had to come to where we were, and with the belief that I think they were also devastated of the situation. They had to tell us that the ambulance took her and she will come back as soon as they have resuscitated her life. And we are going to be kept posted or updated of what the developments are. And was their way to also respond to the situation. I wouldn't say that they intentionally wanted to lie to us, but that was their way of, we have we have no idea of also how to of how to navigate in this situation, and having to think of how painful it might have been at that time, because this is also their sibling, and my grandmom also came to my parents' place, because we lived there for quite some time. My mom was married to my dad until my dad passed on in 2004. I think that's when I was doing grade 3.
Sorry to interrupt there. I wanted
Yeah.
to ask, because you mentioned earlier that there was a time when that time you were writing a book.
Yes.
There was a time when you went to bed and the pillow was wet because of tears.
Yeah.
Do you think it was when you reflect of what happened that made you to maybe remember and,
Yes, absolutely. I was saying, when you are writing a book, one thing that I had never expected is that I'm going to feel the pain the same way that I felt on that day, on the 19th of September, because I need to replay, if I may put it that way, how the event occurred,
Yes,
so that I can
yes.
also pour it in writing,
Exactly.
into a book that I was planning to write at that moment, even though I didn't have the title. It took me some time to really come to the title of Breaking the Chains, and it's because of how my emotions were also playing out at that moment. At some point, I wanted to title it "The Love That Kills," and it's because of how overwhelmed I was with the emotions as I was trying to replay that moment, or that incident. And it is through that journey that I've realized that the only way that you are going to start, or the process of healing is going to take off, it's when you collide again, or you face that situation. It's only until you face that pain that you will be able to understand what it is, and what happened, because those are the questions that you need to ask yourself as you write the book, and those are the very same questions that I had to ask myself, to say, how did it happen, and who did it, and how it made me to feel. And those are the emotions that I had to pour into the book. So it's the reliving of the experiences that becomes very excruciating, and takes you back to that particular incident that might have been cutting your heart into pieces.
I want to know from you, when we come back from short break, I want to know from you, we are going to talk about gender-based violence, because it's a real thing.
Yeah,
But-
it's a pandemic.
Yes, but I want to know, the first thing that I want you to maybe share with us is, how do you feel now when you tell your story now, like you are telling the story? You have written a book, you have told your story in the book, but how is it now when you are telling it again, like in this kind of interview on radio, on TV, like you said you went to? But let's just go for a short break, then when we come back, we are continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, we will be back. Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share online. We are still having Mr. Keatlegile Mabena, who is here to share more on the importance of writing your own story. Let's go to what we said we were going to talk about from the break. How do you feel now when you are retelling the story, from the book now? Because it was inside, you told it to the book. Now when you are taking it from the book and telling it again, how do you feel now?
I believe I still feel the shaking part of it. Every time when I have to tell the story, I have to tap into the deepest layers of myself, and having to reach that deepest layer of my life, of myself, it really helps me in narrating this story in the most possible honest space and authentic, and not only that, but the most vulnerable space. And I need to create that vulnerable space firstly inside of me for me to be able to narrate it to the next person. However, I would say that I'm now able to tell my story without crying, which says to me that I'm progressing in terms of how now I'm able to tell it with the unshakable courage and the strength and the muscle of resilience that I've acquired over the years that I've been in different platforms and telling this story. And it always feels very fresh. I always tell people that each and every year I'm thinking to myself that I will be telling this story, or I will be waking up on that very same day that the incident happened, and I will be waking up feeling very excited to celebrate how the precious moment or the remarkable moments that we had with my mom. And I do celebrate those moments, and I believe that those are the moments that have shaped the personality that I possess and have shaped me to be the person that I am, because I cannot imagine any other person who was as loving, as caring, as humble as my mom was. And those are the qualities that have rubbed on me, and I'm continuing to reveal that because of how positive those experiences were, and how we didn't have a lot at home, but she felt like home, and that mattered to me.
I want to know, there are teenagers out there,
Yes.
15 years old, and they are experiencing the same situation that you were at with your little sister. There is a show called Now or Never.
Yes.
Gender-based violence is real in our country. We have seen it all over radio, all over TV, all over social media. You have written a book that tells the same thing that we see happening every
True.
day. Now, I want to know, those teenagers that are going through, is the book gonna maybe help them to maybe encourage? It is unfortunate that you did not have the chance of maybe telling your mom to leave the relationship. Now people are being encouraged, especially women are being encouraged, that if you see that you are being abused, go before anything bad happens, because it's gonna happen now or never. Is your book maybe helping those kinds of teenagers and even people who are going through the same thing that your mother was going through, to say now or never?
I would want to start by saying I had the every opportunity to talk to my mom and to make her aware of what the signs were, the toxic
the
signs.
reflexes.
Yes, the toxic signs that were there. However, I would say if there is somebody who's a victim and they are not aware of this, what the signs are, or the red flags that, like we normally call them now. Yeah. When somebody is in an abusive relationship, there are people who are outside. Let's say myself, I was an external person, even though I was witnessing it each and every day, if I may say so myself. But she was the one who was being victimized, and from a space of having to grow up in a home full of love, even though I was not able to see that, or maybe pinned down to say this is gender-based violence, because I was still very young. Maybe I didn't know of that concept, but I knew how to differentiate between the life that we lived when my dad was still alive, and the life that now we were transitioning into. And with being victimized, it's about it. I would compare it with talking about your pain. It's a matter of whenever you are ready, then that's when you will take the steps. And at the time at which my mom took the step, and which I know for sure that she took the step when she came to a point where she realizes and see how intense that was becoming, and she took a step to report this to the police and the all the events that I've explained in terms of having to appear in court, and I commend her for doing that, because there are people who feel so caged that they are fearful to even report the person who's the perpetrator of gender-based violence. It is unfortunate that in so many instances where women are to report and they are given that protection order, which is only a piece of paper, which doesn't give you the protection 24/7, but it tells the person this is the proximity at which you shouldn't be closer to that victim, but people can always breach that paper. And the unfortunate part is that the minute when the person takes the step, the perpetrator always says to that person, nobody's going to have you if it's not me. That's how possessive perpetrators are, and they will do anything and everything, and which is exactly what happened with my mom, that the perpetrator did everything that he could. He could not imagine my mom having to be in a relationship with somebody else if it's not himself. And the only thing that he thought of, which has really caused us trauma, that we are dealing with and we are still healing. And one thing that I've also realized, that healing is a back and forth movement. What he did was to make sure that nobody's going to have my mom if it's not him. And at the time, my mom took that most important step of having to report that this person is toxic, this person is showing the signs of a perpetrator of that particular violence or gender-based violence. And that's when my mom's life ended. And this is not only my situation. There are many people who are going through that, where people are encouraging, you must report. But people are fearful that the minute they report, it is the minute that people are going to lose them. Their loved ones are going to lose them.
Worse,
so it's a very a very deep situation that one wouldn't know how to act on it, because sometimes when you act on it, then this is what becomes an outcome. And having to go to your question of what is it that the impact that it will have on the person who might be going through that as a victim, or who might have witnessed them, or who's witnessing in fact the gender-based violence, and how now it has been spread out there. It would be, this is your instrument that will help you to navigate the challenges that look similar, or they are similar to the same situation that I had to go through. This is your guide. This is your help. Having to read Breaking the Chains, you will understand what were the signs and what was ignored in that process, and having to resonate with it to say, okay, these are similar signs that I'm seeing, the red flags that I'm seeing right now, and find possible ways to challenge those red flags, which is not going to be easy.
Mr. Keatlegile, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our show. In 30 seconds, I just need two things from you. Number one, I just need you to tell me, is your sister okay? Is your little sister okay? And number two, where can people get a hold of you to get this book?
My sister is doing absolutely okay. We have become very, very close. I think what has happened to us and having to go through the pain has made us to be as tight, as a mother's hug, I'll put it that way, and as close as thieves, as they would say it. Yeah, and we are always tapping into other space emotionally to check up on each other, to say that are you okay? Is there something that I can help you with? If there's professional help that you need, know that you are not alone, which is exactly what I want. In fact, I know for sure this book has been to other people, to say that you are not alone, and which is the reason why I want people to have a close connection with me. That's why this book is purchased directly from me, to say if you're going through it, you must feel that I'm available and accessible to go through it with you. Find ways on how I can help you.
So how are you accessible?
My accessibility, I'm active on social platforms, Facebook. If you want to purchase my book, I'm accessible on Facebook. I'm Keatlegile Mabena on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Keatlegile_Mabena. I'm not too active on X, and on my social platforms, Facebook and Instagram, my contacts are there. You can always WhatsApp me or give me a call if you want to purchase the book.
Thank you so much, Mr. Keatlegile. That was a very touching discussion, but at the same time healing.
Absolutely.
To yourself also, and to other people, like you have said in the book. So please do get hold of the book and get more from Mr. Keatlegile Mabena. We have come to the end of our show. Don't forget to subscribe, to share online. My name is Onkarabile Mokoto, and I'm saying to you, let's meet next time, same place on Share Online.